All right. Welcome everybody here and on our stream. The Audio Engineering Society New York section is very pleased to present another great event. Today we're being hosted by Eastside Sound and the team of Andreas and Nico Polak and Lou Holtzman. We'll start with a short 12-minute interview of Phil Scholes about the installation here at the studio. And after that, we'll do a couple of questions with Gary Thielman, the president of Harrison. And then we'll do a short recording session with Bob Marone, and we'll discuss the workflow of using the tape and the Harrison and the Dante and all that. We'll get into that in a moment. Then after the stream, everyone that's here live, we have quite a crowded room, we'll be doing our raffles from Eventide software, the Split EQ, and the Anthology Bundle. And special update, last minute, Harrison has gratefully donated a Mix Plus Pro NFR as well, so that will also be raffled a little later for everyone that's here. So please try to stay till the end because that's when the raffle happens. All right, so without further ado, let's watch this interview with Phil and start the live event after that. Thanks everybody for coming today. Pleased to introduce Phil Scholes joining us today. Phil's from SSL and Harrison. And Phil's going to fill us in a little bit about Harrison and about the installation here at Eastside Sound. How are you doing today, Phil?
Good, thanks, Rory. Good. It's good to chat with you here.
Absolutely. Great seeing you.
Excellent. So, yeah, as Rory said, I work for SSL. And for those that don't know, Harrison was acquired by SSL. So one of the things with Harrison consoles now moving forward, all of the support for the console will come from SSL. So if you're familiar with SSL support, you'll start to see exactly the same thing with the Harrison console. So one of the things that we do at SSL is we commission consoles and do installation. So it's very much a hands-on process. So I worked with the guys at Eastside Sound, with Lou and Andres, to actually specify the console. And then when it came time for delivery, I actually met the delivery and installed the console for them and got it all up and running and working. So yeah, I guess that's what we're going to chat about today, is just that process and just some of the details about that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I saw some nice shots when you guys were putting it in. So please share.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I can do, I can just share my screen now and talk to you just a little bit about that process. So like I said, one of the things that SSL is known for is that hands-on support, and that's very much what we did with this installation here. So
excellent.
Let's see, is there a screen share? Oh, there we go.
There should be.
Let's share my screen. There we go. So yeah, this first slide, this is literally as the trucker drops it off. So this is the full console. We deliver it as one piece. So there was no actual on-site reassembly required. Sometimes we do that with SSL, depending on the size and depending on how easy it is to get it in. But we've done a site survey here already, and we knew we could get the console in one piece. So that's how we delivered it. So this is the big crate. This was built in the SSL factory in the UK. All Harrison consoles are now. Still designed very much in Nashville by Gary Thielman, but in terms of building them, we build them at SSL Begbrook. So this is just a few pictures of it. I took some pictures of these because I really liked it, honestly. I really liked the way that it looked outside with all the graffiti there on the sidewalk. So yeah, and then also what we did was Lou Holtzman and Andres, who were so excited about this, they actually wanted to take some pictures outside. So we did a couple of little photos with Lou. So that's Lou Holtzman, the owner of Eastside Sound for 40-something years. I'm sure Lou will tell you more about that when you meet him. And here's him very proudly with his crate, and with Andres Polak, his business partner as well. So these guys are Eastside Sound, and we're very proud owners of this new console. So we actually uncrated it out on the street just so it was easier to get it in the building. The crates were too big to fit in the doors, but the console isn't. So we uncrated and took a few pictures along the way to actually mark the occasion, as it were. So this is the first Harrison console 32 Classic delivered to a commercial recording studio in the US. So that's why we are very proud of this moment. Again, beaming faces from these guys. So next up, this is the studio which we actually installed it into. This is the just cleared the room out kind of phase. They had a previous analog console in there which went away. But what's interesting to note here, I didn't take a video of it going through. I don't know whether the guys did, but that very small hole that you see there, window, is actually where the console came through. We couldn't make the turn. We discovered when we were in there, it was literally at about an inch, not big enough. So we actually ended up having to go through that glass. So this is like a full view, and on the right there, that's the entranceway. The door was big enough, but the door with the tight turn meant that it just wouldn't physically go in. So what we ended up doing actually was we took the console down the corridor into the live room, which is here it is actually in the live room, put it back on its feet again, and then needed to take the glass out to pass it through to the control room. So this is what we're in the process of doing here. This is looking back into that control room. So what you can see in the rear of this frame, that's actually the control room where it's going to end up. And this passed through here, that window, we took the glass out of there and put the console on its side and then put it sideways through this glass. There's just a couple more shots of that. And here it is. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't have a video of it going through, but it went through that hole, obviously. And here it is. We're just kind of positioning it in the correct location in the room before we took off the shrink wrap on it. So we took off all the packaging, but not the shrink wrap, and we left that in as long as possible so it's nice and clean for them. And then we were just essentially just positioning it in the room here. And making sure that it was at the right height and the right layout, and the sight lines were good, and it was good for the racks and all of that stuff. So this is Andres basically giving us the go-ahead. That's me on the well, no, that's not me on the right, but I'm somewhere else taking this picture, and then you'll see me some of these other ones at the back wiring up the console. But yeah, this is us getting it into the space. You can see here he's got some soffit mounted Adam speakers, and he's got some ATC 45 near field / midfields. Really nice monitoring in there. And his converters are Avid converters. You'll see them on the back wall there. But one of the things about this installation actually was this console has Dante, so it was actually much easier in terms of the integration. We have Dante converters built into this console as well. So when I was wiring up the cables at the back, some of the I/O is already taken care of with the Dante connectivity between the Pro Tools rig and the console. So that's one of the really unique things about this desk is that Dante integration, which makes it much simpler. So you can get a full 32 channels plus all of the sensor section connected to and from Pro Tools just with Dante connectivity. Yeah, and just a few more shots of this as it's going in. And you can see the patch bay is on the left-hand side there, just below the converters. And then, yeah, the next few shots, there really wasn't that much more to it. When I was doing the installation, the studio was still going to go through some tidying up. So I was literally in there for 2 days, getting the console in, connecting it up, passing audio, and then that was really it for my part of the installation. You will see on there though something that has got added to this picture, which is the 2 SSL controllers. So Andres is a long-time SSL AWS owner, and one of the nice things about the SSL AWS is the DAW control. And Harrison doesn't have any of that inbuilt, but Andres was used to that workflow and really wanted the inbuilt Pro Tools control. So they specified some SSL controllers, and as you can see, the big front buffer on the Harrison means they fit really nicely there. So you can actually lay them out right there on the front buffer of the console and work with Pro Tools directly from it. So that was a nice way to add that DAW functionality to what is purely an analog console. And the next few photos, really just the party. We did a launch party at AES for the studio and for this welcome addition to the studio. So this is a friend of mine, Steve Bowman, who's very active in the LA community. He's a mixer, very Grammy-winning mixer actually, and he really enjoyed this desk. He really liked working with it actually. We were playing back some sessions on here, which was actually recorded only an hour before the party. So the artist was there. A lady was there. She literally finished tracking an hour before the party started, and we were playing back and just mixing some of the audio from that tracking session on the console at the party. So that was really cool to see something which was just literally fresh, just done on the console, and everybody there kind of had a hands-on experience with it and mixed it right then and there. So it was a packed house, and lots of the lots of the New York community were there, as well as a couple of us that flew out from LA for it as well. So yeah, so that was it really.
So the Dante must have made it a lot easier behind the console for you. Obviously, you didn't have to do tons and tons of DB25s or Elco connectors or DLs from our old SSL 9K days. So that must have been a little less backbreaking.
It is. It makes it a lot easier, and I think it's kind of weird, honestly. I mean, I'm used to doing a lot of analog consoles, and I'm used to being in the trenches or the literally wiring them up. And I think this makes it a lot easier for studios where you know what you're going to have in terms of connectivity between the console and the DAW. So if that's taken care of, you don't need to wire up. You don't need to double up and have that go into the patch bay as well. So that's what they did here. It reduces the number of rows that you need, which obviously reduces the cabling and the expense that goes along with that as well. It's cool.
And the inductive noise and all those other
all of that
factors.
Yeah, and it's great for us when we do demos with literally we can turn up to a trade show, have a laptop, a network cable, and a console, and the only analog connections you need are from the console to the speakers. It's really easy. So it's a unique feature, and I'm kind of surprised that more consoles don't have this at this point, because it is. Dante is really becoming
absolutely
something which is used everywhere now. So.
No doubt about it. All right, well, that was great. Thank you. And so it's the 32C or the
32 Classic. 32 Classic, yeah.
Okay. And that configuration there is in 32 channels?
Yeah, that's 32 channels. And it's available in different sizes as well. The smallest being 16. But we do 16, 24, 32, 48, 64. Nice. And some of them, you'll start to see some of them have producer sections in the middle as well. So, for your Pro Tools screen and whatever.
And you can incorporate some of the SSL controllers in the center then if your board is that big.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for your time today. And we'll see you hopefully soon around the way.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks, mate.
All right, thanks. See you, Robbie.
Ciao.
Cheers.
All right, Phil Scholes, the man. So now we're joined by Gary Thielman, the president of Harrison. And I'm going to ask Gary just a few quick questions, and maybe he's going to share a little information and history for us over the history of the console. So obviously your last name's not Harrison, so you did not find the company. You're not the founder.
I found the company.
I did
not found it.
Right, you're not the founder, but you did find it. So you were in Nashville
many years
with a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
And looking for a job.
Looking for a job.
And you ended up at Harrison.
I did. That was 40 years ago. Harrison's been around 50 years. I've been there 40 of those 50 years. Way back then, I was right out of college, and they called me. I was looking for a job. I applied everywhere in Nashville. It was a pretty cool town back in the early 80s. There was a lot to do there. And,
slowly getting hip again, right?
It's slowly getting hip again. Jeez.
We like to poke fun at the other sections.
But anyway, I got a call from Harrison, and David needed somebody green to sit in the lab with him and help him. that he could whip and yell at and wouldn't talk back to him, and that was me. And so I worked side by side with him for many years.
And grew into the position
And
of being
grew
president.
into a really nice position.
When did David leave the company, or when did he start?
David left the company in the early 90s. He passed away in the mid 90s. Myself and some partners of mine bought the company in 2005, and I ran it up until 2 years ago when I sold it to Audiotonics, which Phil mentioned that.
Right.
That's the parent company
right.
to SSL.
SSL.
And now Harrison and Digico and Allen and Heath and a bunch of other companies. So we're not kind of under the
Cool.
same
So when you
umbrella.
came in, consoles were still being designed,
Yeah, when I came in,
and you participated in that as well.
I participated
In
in
the early
every console design from about 1985 until
Till now,
Until
which
now.
this is 100% your design.
100%. Well, mine and my guys. So it's
Right,
Not
the
just
team.
me, but the team.
Right.
Yeah. Conceptually, my design, and then a lot of other
Executed.
A lot of other
By the team.
execution going on.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Cool. And let's see. So that's a little bit about the background, about the design, about the company currently. Anything you want to share with us, just about the history or anything about the technology?
Yeah, it's really important to know why we did what we did. You know, we saw the work. First of all, we were in the film business for many, many years, and that just completely went away. The film console business went away about 10, 12 years ago. And I'm running that company. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And, you know, you fast forward 50 years, and we decided to make another analog console. I said, we need to do this. We were looking around, and clearly there was a market for that. We have lots of IP, you know, all the IP from Harrison. So we went back in time, and all the way back to the beginning, then we pulled forward a lot of the cool things that were
Of the original
console that was made
that
in
was the
1975.
MR.
That was the 32 series. The 3232 was the first console
I
that
see.
Dave designed. Then he did an MR series, and he did
I
a
see.
Series 10, which was here for many
Right.
years in this.
The
studio,
biggest
and-
fan of that console ever is the owner of the studio, Lou.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that when he joins us in a little bit.
We put that console in right around the corner here, back in '89. I guess it was a long time ago. I spilled a Heineken beer right in that brand new console. So that was
So keep it interesting.
It's my introduction to the music studios in New York City. I turned around and knocked a beer. Had to replace 7 or 8 faders in the console right away. So that was really fun.
But you know somebody at the company, so it was
Yeah.
probably the best person that could have done it.
I knew somebody there, so yeah, it was pretty cool. But anyway, so fast forward, we decided to make a new analog console, but I wanted to make it work in the studio for today.
Modernized it a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's why we put the Dante interface in there. And this is a really cool setup. It's unique here, what they're doing here, but it's the reason I did that was exactly for
this kind of
what's
workflow.
going on in this workflow.
For example,
So,
each channel having two
yeah.
designated outputs.
Yeah, we decided to parallel everything going off the console, which is great. So we convert it, kick it to Dante. That can go straight to Pro Tools. We can also take it straight to an analog machine. It can wrap it back around and really have a
Right.
hybrid workflow with a really nice
And there's a few
analog
choices
front
on that,
end.
and these guys will share with us the way
Yeah.
they've done it. But there's more than
Yeah,
one
there's-
way to address that.
There's all kinds of
Those solutions.
Yeah. So, Phil mentioned the installation part of it, and it's a big deal. It's a 64 by 64 matrix coming in, all on a Cat 5, which if anybody's wired up an analog console before, it takes care of a huge chunk of it. And we had already had that technology from our days in the film business, so it was pretty easy to pull that forward. But more importantly, pulling forward the analog designs. It's amazing what 50 years has done to chip technology, PC board layout and design, and all the things we learned over the years. Bringing that mid-70s archaic electronic design forward 50 years was really cool.
When it's good, it's
And
good.
this is the result of it, yeah. And a quick example of that is there's transformers on all the preamps on here. And originally on that original console also had transformers, and it was the first thing that David engineered out because they were terrible. They really were not very good in the early days. they were all inconsistent. When you have 32 channels, they all need to be the same. You know, you can't have a lot of variation between them. And it was not good. So we engineered them out. In 50 years, I engineered them right back in because
Stability
they're
was
really good.
right.
I had Jensen send me a whole crate of transformers, and we made sure we tested them and made sure they were. There was a little bit of tolerance there, but they were all within spec and really good. So we decided to go ahead and engineer them back in. So that kind of thing was really fun. It was fun to engineer, to go back in time and pull that stuff forward.
It adds to the musicality of the
It
signal,
does.
having those
It's a
transformers.
beautiful signal path through there, and some of the designs have stood the test of time. That equalizer is really nice. The filters are really good. We've learned a lot over the years.
Cool.
Make a really cool product.
Well, as a New Yorker, I'm looking forward to doing some sessions here and finding out firsthand.
I hope so.
But all right, great. Thanks so much.
Cool. My pleasure.
And thanks for sharing with us all. And AES New York appreciates it as well.
Awesome. Thank you. This is great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to switch over to some workflow, some recording, and let's introduce Andreas and Lou and Nico, who are going to review and share their workflow with us. Hello. Nico, here he is. Sorry. Nico. Hello. Welcome. So I think even before we have Bob play some music for us, if you guys could just go in order of the signal flow, how it flows and things about it. It would be very informative before we start listening.
Sure. So this console, if you look at here, when the blue lights are on, that means Dante is active in inline mode, which means the signal comes in to the preamp, or with if you're using an outboard, it's gonna be the outboard signal, and it goes through and goes direct out to Pro Tools, and then it comes back for monitoring in these faders. So that's the first thing to understand. And that we use that as it is. So we record the digital signal in Pro Tools as in any normal scenario. But the cool thing that Gary was telling is that this console split the signal, so you could send that, and we do send that to the tape machine.
Out to tape, playing in record off the tape head, back in.
And that signal from the output, so all the important thing is that we're not using the input signal, we're using the actual tape signal. And we're dumping it, that's the keyword,
In real time.
in real time to
They're
Pro
hearing the
Tools.
tape, yep.
And one cool thing is that you don't get the lag you usually get when you use tape, because we can send the headphones through the digital.
Yep.
So you get rid of the lag and you can record directly to tape.
The
And-
musicians are getting the pre-signal, the sourcing signal.
If
So
you
they
see
just
here-
play, and we're getting to
Yeah.
Pro Tools, Digi, then tape to Pro Tools again. So we have both. So a client can just use one roll of tape and keep all those precious outtakes, which we couldn't back then because it was a $1.35 a roll back in the 80s and 90s, and you'd have to make a decision. Am I going to keep this or am I going to trash it? And 9 out of 10 times they all regretted they went over something. But we can just keep going like we got a little SSD. We can keep filling it.
The only thing we have to do is rewind the tape if we want to
And
use the
it's
same
good
tape.
for studio owners because we use more time. Okay.
So we mentioned that it's playing back off the repro head, correct?
That's the only reason we do it. It's
Right.
repro at
And
the moment.
we should probably mention that it's not currently done with SMPTE or synchronization. It's simply just a bump through the tape. And Lou tells me that they like to hit it hard.
Yeah, well, it's analog taping.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit about the tape. You're using ATR master tape, which is similar to 456.
456, the heavy code.
Right.
you know.
And generally, you're operating it at +6, 185.
Yes, sir.
and you are generally biasing it from there, telling you what
10K,
2.5
2.5
dB at 10K, which from my memory back in the day, we used to bias at like 1.75. So this number is odd to me, but it could be because I never worked on a Sony machine, or because this ATR tape has a different formulation.
You know, as time goes on, I'd like to experiment. We used to experiment with biasing, you know, but you have to have time to sit and play. It's analog. It's just different.
And generally, you've been working at 30 IPS.
We like 30 IPS, yeah. 15 is good. You get a nice bump on the bottom, but you get a little carpet. But today, that doesn't matter. Once it goes in here, you know, you can get rid of the carpet.
You can do anything.
But 30 IPS, a little more sparkly and easier to just bump the bass. It sounds great.
Cool. So I think you covered the whole workflow. There's an offset, obviously, between the tape and the direct inputs, so you would never listen to both at the same time.
The only time we did was to say, what does it sound like right to the computer? What does it sound like now?
Right, for AB.
Yeah, just
but
for
still,
us.
it's only one per. You can't have, obviously, multiple things on from either one because of the synchronization issue. So, is there anything else about the workflow you want to share with us before we maybe have Bob demonstrate?
Me, as an engineer, I just love the fact, you know, in the studio, we're just normaled into the baby and and we've got so much other great stuff, but the Harrison just made a great preamp. It's, Gary, you got a great preamp.
Thank you.
You can just go for days. This thing's not going to squeak. It just says, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Yeah. One thing worth noting is that we're not doing 24 tracks. We're doing 16 tracks.
Right,
At the
that's
moment-
another thing to mention.
And-
It's a 16-track
Yeah.
head.
And 16 tracks, for those who don't know, there's a 2-inch tape, right? So if you're using 24 tracks, each track has to divide, you know, what it
And
gets.
in the world
right.
of analog, it gets a little smaller. I mean,
Right.
24
Yeah.
sounds
But
great.
The best sound is 16.
The original
2-inch.
sound in the
Yes.
70s when they went from 1-inch 8
Right.
and they went to 16, 2, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Basically, you're watering the soup if you add more tracks. It's not like
It was just years ago I had a 1-inch Scully and, you know, get all the drums on 2 tracks and then bouncing
8 tracks, yeah.
on the 8-track.
Yeah.
And then Scully came out with the 1-inch 12-track and they said, demo it. And I was so excited. I had a kick, snare, and all the rest of the drum. Oh my God, 12 tracks. And I played with it. Jerry Fisher at Tech hooked it all up, and we both looked at each other. The sound got smaller.
Just
And
like
then
the
they-
tape with. Yeah.
And then they came out
Track
with the 2-inch 24 eventually happened. It just became it. So, you know, old dogs like us really just remember the 70s and those M79s and those old Ampex washing machines. They sound great.
Yeah. The real punch is
If
in
you
the,
look at the
is
playback,
in the,
can you get a
in the
picture of
analog
that?
16 track, yeah.
You see? Oh, it's covered by tape. Never mind. Duh.
Okay. So today we have a very
Bob
very
Malone,
good musician, Bob Malone.
my dear friend who's
Yes.
been John Fogerty's keyboard player
Yes,
for
great.
years. And boy, when you watch his shows, and John Fogerty takes a break, and Bob's got that stage, and he's a monster keyboard player and organ, and
Okay.
Fogerty puts on quite a show.
So as we said, we'll record Bob, and he's going to be hearing himself on the input channels, not the tape. And then when we play it back, we'll obviously hear it back from the tape channels. And then I believe if we may even have Bob do an overdub over his piano.
Sure.
Right, I think we have Bob there right now. Are you there, Bob?
Okay, we put the machine in record. We're in tape head, and you can tell him to go for it. He's getting his headphones.
okay, we're rolling. stuck by here.
Bravo! And now, if you're willing, an overdub.
Well, we're gonna stop the tape, stop flowing, and
Don't rewind. Just keep going.
Okay.
so now we want to overdub, right? So what do you do when you overdub? You have to record analog and digital at the same time.
So, let's turn off. Excuse me.
First, yeah, let's show first the actual
Okay, let's just listen.
what's
to what we
happening
did.
in Pro Tools.
Right.
Show a little bit like the offset and what's going on.
We're on 8 and 9, right?
We have the digital signal here. Well, this is where the music starts in Pro Tools, but this is where the music starts in the analog domain. That means that the repro head is reproducing after the record head, right? Because in a machine, if we can show for those who don't know, the analog machine has the record head here. And the
Erase, record, and playback.
and the playback head
We'll be
is
with
here.
you 1 second. We'll tell
So
you.
there's what Nick was saying. There's a lag. There's
Sorry, we
a
get the big
delay
signal here?
between this. The time it takes the
what's the
tape
beat
to come
frequency?
here, from here to here, is actually about 90
So
milliseconds.
the piano can come back.
So that's what happened in here, and that's why you cannot feed the headphones to a musician from the repro head. You have to feed it from the input. But then, how do you record to Pro Tools from the input? If because you have to send it to the musician, you cannot, right? You have to record from the
So you stay
From
all
the-
in Pro
from
Tools
the
while
playback
you
head.
overdub.
right. So you feed them the Pro Tools. That's why the console has two simultaneous outputs, and we're using that to feed Pro Tools and the tape machine.
It's
So
gonna
now
have to compete
we're gonna
with
take
that
advantage
piano
of that and
volume
record-
wise.
And we're gonna overdub, but we're gonna still be
Stay on
feeding
Pro
the musician. We're gonna feed him the Pro Tools, the digital signal, and we're gonna record the analog
Want to get a record?
and the digital also
Right. Just
Okay.
like we did with the piano, we're going to repeat it now,
on the organ.
but the artist is only going to hear the Pro Tools
Yeah.
information, so it's in sync.
let's see what level we're getting from it.
Came up for one day.
The organ.
Hang out a little bit.
Well, the
Can you play a little bit organ, please?
Ross.
That's good.
Yeah,
we're going to take that out of the record, right?
sounds like it's going to need to be a little lower for the piano.
And we're good. We're hot now. Next tape.
Let me hear the piano level. Just where it's gonna-
The analog organ. Yeah. Okay.
Bag it away. Put it in record.
Now what we're doing is overdubbing over the tape in real time. So if you can hear, he's playing completely in sync with the tape. And that's something you could never do without systems. It's really cool.
All right, so what we accomplished now is that, first of all, we were monitoring the analog signal. We weren't listening to Pro Tools. But we can, I don't know how it's going to come out in the feed, but we could have you guys listen to the difference between analog and digital.
We hit the piano a little hot.
Yeah, at first, and
you know, we hit it. We were pushing it. Plus, we're +6 before we even get going.
we didn't have time to.
Where's that +9? Who's gonna make it?
Yeah, it's all right.
I want 996 Scotch.
It's all right. So
24 years.
Let's have the audience and the people there listening on Facebook hear the difference between analog and digital. So let's go to somewhere where he's already playing and have it roll.
So this is analog. It's a pretty obvious difference. Now this is Pro Tools digital.
This is Pro Tools, yeah.
It's hard to tell when it's slow, but
The console has a 0 button, 0 for unity level, right? So if you see the console, it's this white signals that the console is at unity level in 0 dB.
The true test would be if no one is looking at the board, but I can tell you for me, there's better lower mids and smoother highs on the tape. That's what I'm hearing.
oh, the bottom end is great, and when we go 15, it gets real stupid.
Well, we don't have a bass line to really augment the low end,
And plus, I didn't tune it.
but in this information that we have, you can hear that the lower mids are more musical from the tape.
I had about.
As many of us have, it's like an old friend that calls your ears right back to the situation.
And he worked on a lot of 2-inch. Unique Studios, Bobby Nathan. He put in so many hours there.
Okay.
I remember.
So.
Well, he's a good judge for hearing a difference because
He's going to be tracking his band tomorrow, so he knows he's been here before.
Mark. So we have Mark Rosselli here.
Is this like the blind taste test?
The Mark Rosselli.
The Mark Rosselli, who came to visit us. Because he's working it all the time, so he had time today. And
Mark has
to
been
come.
with me
And
when he was this big.
so,
I remember.
so
Yeah. He once said, he once said, I said, I remember when you were young and I was young. He goes, Lou, you were never young.
It's all relative.
choices.
Yeah.
See which one he likes.
Yeah,
And he can't
please.
see which one is which, so
he doesn't know which one is which.
let's
So
see what he likes.
If I could choose wrong and completely ruin
doesn't
it.
matter.
It's your call.
Doesn't matter.
You can do 2 buttons at a time. Beep, beep.
We'll do that for you.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds great.
Sounds great.
That is the volume knob.
You should turn the organ down. It's supposed to be under the piano.
Yeah, because we put everything on unity level. That's for the test.
So this is Dig.
Right?
You had to tell him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your band's gonna cut the ones more like you sound.
It's got that
balls.
got that puffy thing.
The 70s. The Eagles. All that stuff.
Yeah, you know. It'll go to vinyl much better.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that sounds like this.
Fat.
And that sounds like this.
Also, you can tell digital handles better the hotness of the
I'm pushing this hard. We pushed it hard. We pushed it hard. We can back off. See, because so
Real meat potatoes is there.
if I had to be first generation of food,
Tell right away that it's a ship.
that wouldn't happen.
There's some things like just a little experimental.
We should have it goes like this. How many plays?
It's a furniture all combined with
Something happened. Yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't have touched it. You guys should have been like, don't touch it.
We're not going to do anything. All right, so in this room and also out there and in Facebook, if there's any questions,
Zero lock on the faders.
Any
Gary, you thought of
questions?
everything.
Ask.
You thought of everything.
Okay. So,
Thanks, Bob.
would you like to ask anything? Is there any questions?
I
What
got
we're-
a question.
There's
a bunch of clamps. Yeah, there was mistakes.
I'm just amazed about the
That's not the
sex
tank.
appeal of the board.
All right.
Viscerally, it seems like it's analog, but it still has like a modern feel to it. It just looks like a sexy board.
Well, thank you.
It really does. It doesn't look like clunky or like.
Too sexy for itself.
Too sexy for this.
I mean, it's
Too
just,
sexy
it's
for
a
the studio.
beautiful.
I
board.
think when
Yes,
I saw what
it is a
Gary,
beautiful
what
board.
you designed, you know, because since the years we had with Series 10 and,
Yeah.
and that incredible automation, it just seems, you know, you took the old world, pumped it up with the Jensens, the whole thing, but the thing was, you were thinking about like your mix system, Pro Tools, you know, the DAWs could take over all the flying faders and all that
Let
stuff.
it do what it does best, and then get
Everyone's going to revert to
get
Pro
the sound
Tools.
into it. You got to
You
get
can't take
into
a
it.
24 track or 16-inch track and cut out a track. Yeah. The thing is, this thing, I mean, great for mixing. You just put everything to zero and use that, and you know.
Yeah.
Off
And
you
Pro
go.
Tools is the automation now, and that's it.
So no flying faders on this.
Who the hell needs flying faders?
No.
It's quite
That's-
neat.
that's
I don't
like-
need it.
And
No,
the
I'm just
beauty of
saying,
that is,
that's the 90s.
30 years from now, this will be exactly like it. Yeah.
It's lean and mean, and it's going back to the future.
Back then.
So
We're going back to the future.
we asked Gary, why didn't you put some kind of door control here? And well, really,
No. Well, two reasons. Cost, because
Mhm.
once you put a software element into a design, a hardware design, you have to take care of it for the rest of the time.
Right.
And it's very expensive. Now you got to have 3 guys, full time, just taking care of that.
and it will be outdated. I mean,
And
it
the
will be old.
bottom line is everybody's going to be automating here anyway.
That's it.
So we have.
So,
If you
That's
put,
why the
if
zero
you, if
button
you put
is
the
just one
picture
that's
here, so we have automation here,
yeah.
and we have all the automation we need. I mean, we just
So it's a real simple reason.
put the faders here and bring down faders. You see
and
that,
it sounds good.
and you can do all the automation you want, all the control you want, and that's it.
What's the weight on the board, Gary? What's the total weight of it?
It weighs about 450 pounds.
It's a big
It's
board.
heavy. By design. Because I made a nice big armrest here, and you have to be able to sit on it without
Great
tipping the
mouse
console.
pad too.
And I'm not joking about that. It's very important that you lean on that and it doesn't wobble around, and you can set those speakers on top of this console. They won't tip
For
over.
sure.
I've done it.
Yeah. I've
Those
seen it, yeah.
ATCs on top of it.
Yeah. And
So by design, we made it heavy. These modules are not, they weigh about 2.5 pounds a piece. They're very light and not very big. So we had to compensate and give it a low center of
It's
gravity.
so different. When you said the construction, you just
We
don't.
built it like an airplane wing. There's a lot of aircraft aluminum in there, and it's very strong and very heavy.
And the mods, the inside, so different from what I used to remember seeing all those.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Very
Just-
simple design.
yeah.
How's the maintenance of that? Is it a per channel or is it on a group?
It's modular, so every one of these
you can
pop
pull
out.
every mod. and everything.
I don't know that you've had to pull one out.
Yes, we
So
did.
there's a
The
question
only
we
time
put
Well, the one for the
master-
dim.
master on Facebook.
After I changed how the dim works.
Actually, after I asked Gary, why didn't you put automation on the console? And then I thought, great, it doesn't have automation.
Because you
So I'm
didn't
not
want to
stuck
pay
with
for it. That's
I'm not stuck with the automation that the console's automation. I can later
Do
on
whatever you
decide
like.
I can do whatever you like, and you can put it here or wherever
Yep.
if you have, or you can just use your mouse. It
You
depends on how
didn't
you
believe me at first.
like. I do now.
You do.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this zero level is very handy when you want to do that. Now, when you're recording, when you're tracking, you're using the faders.
Sure you
We use the faders. So, of course, we are a tracking room because this is Eastside Sound, and we do a lot of tracking in New York, and
Two
that's
questions.
it. But we can do mixing also.
One, how are you clocking for Dante?
Dante clocks automatically. So,
So you have a master device like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
converters.
we have a lot of redundancy in the studio. So in the rack, you see, we have an Avid rig, which is the Matrix main unit, controlling input output from those HD inputs. We have 64 right there. 48, I'm sorry, right now. But actually we are recording through Dante. We can choose if you want to record through Pro Tools or Dante or both. That's the thing. Since we are a professional studio in New York, we if one thing fails, we go to the other, and we do it very fast, and that's it.
The cool part
So,
about it is
we could do both.
when we first brought it in, before we even had the MTRX, the Matrix, I just got a DVS license and it was just up and running.
This is
With a
Dave
single
Harris.
unit.
He's
Hi.
engineer here. He's head of the video department, and also he's a staff engineer. So he was explaining that.
Yeah, the thing, even without AD converters, I just plugged it in with an Ethernet cable the first day and it was up and running. And with DVS, I just had it spitting out audio right away. So it was great.
What was your other question?
Oh, any hidden tricks or tips with this board, like akin to in the old days when you could go out of the insert point to kind of get a cleaner signal, or
Yes.
Well, the direct out is right off of it.
Yeah.
It's right after the preamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you can push that inline button and it'll wrap it through the EQ and feed it out to sends
Yeah.
as well. But you can pick and choose that, so you can decide
We
where you want.
we do that when we go to let's say we use Neve preamps because we have a very nice rack of Neve all 1073s. So we go to the console, but we interface directly to the insert return.
Mhm.
We don't go through the input channel.
Got
Yeah.
So the insert return goes directly to the direct out. And that's the cleanest path you can have.
And the shortest path.
And the
There's,
shortest
there's nothing there. There's a cable plugging in and some
And
gold
out.
connectors, and out it goes.
Right.
Very, very short.
Oh, the instrument in is really handy too. I actually used it a couple times.
Oh, good.
One for a vocalist who actually was in the room because every booth
Good.
was full.
It's great. Just
Yeah,
plug it
yeah.
in.
It's stood here and
why I
there's-
put it
It was great. It's
And
so
check
handy.
this out.
Yeah, there's
Guitar
a
players, anything.
there's an
Or
instrument
input.
mic,
Right
and
on
instrument input right
Mic
here.
XLR combo.
And so,
Nice.
you go, so you can just
And you can pick that up.
Go in here.
Oh, just that one
Or,
jack.
or 5 channels.
this
Yeah.
this channel here. So it has
Guitar
phantom
players
power,
and
it
bass
has
players love
line
sitting
level,
here.
it has instrument level, and we
Yeah.
and you press a button and you can have it on any of the channels you want, or in all of the channels.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You could sum, and you could use outboard and sum a few.
Yeah, I've recorded
So-
one clean and one with like EQ and compression on,
Right.
on the same on 2 channels. So
Because, you know, they didn't care.
It's just
So-
everything you need. It's just
So-
meat and potatoes.
It's meat and potatoes and more.
With
and,
more.
and we are, we're playing with it and we're learning how to use it still because it's, we've had it
Yeah.
for, I don't
6
know,
months, 6, 8 months, something like that.
maybe a year.
Yeah, coming up
now.
on a year.
Yeah. And
it is
so
super flexible.
every day is a learning day, and you find out new things, new ways of working. We also have a lot of outboard gear, so we can,
really
we can do
experiment in here.
experiment. I mean, that's the beauty of doing reporting. I mean, and live music
Tracking. You see so much work ending up at people's homes when it gets tracked. And here you can embed your tracks with all the good stuff, tape, all this, and really take home some serious tracks. Not stems, but tracks. You
Yeah.
can take home serious.
By the way, what we just did with
That's as
Bob
good as
was
it gets.
going through
Can't kill me.
the console.
You can juggle it.
No
all.
EQ, just the console in, direct out. So we didn't want to, since we're going to tape, we did not want to interfere with the sound with the chain, so you guys can hear the difference. And the big thing here is, getting back to analog,
Yeah.
but in a smart way.
Yeah.
You're not spending a lot of money on tape because you can use tape as a pass-through. You're not staying in tape.
You can
don't
keep
have-
your outtakes.
You don't have to keep your tape. You're just going through it's like going through an outboard.
Tape simulator. It's like
Yeah,
a
plug in,
simulator,
it's like a
except
going-
it's not.
the real thing. And the
But it's the
simulators
real
don't
thing, yeah.
sound like that. I twist them and I go, what the hell am I listening to?
You're not listening to that. That's what
So it
you're
was
not
a
listening to.
very welcome experience to come back to analog, real analog, and of course we are recording to Pro Tools. I mean,
Why? Yeah.
but so what? I mean, that's a digital medium is transparent. So the thing is to capture something that's nice,
And you can do whatever
and
you
then
want
you
with
can do
it.
whatever you want with it. Yeah, right.
And if you have Mixbus, it's got the same name. And you're mixing on a digital console.
So we of course we would like everybody to come to an event like this. We cannot host so many people anyhow, but this will be online, and you can filter out whatever phase issues there were later.
We'll
with
see
the-
what we can
the
do in
online mic-
post-production.
post-production,
Right.
and so you can.
I'm listening to the phone and I can understand what's being said, so
Yeah.
I think we're accomplishing our goal.
Yeah, I think so.
We are the AES
Broadcast
and we
axiom
should
number
have
one.
pristine audio, but as long as we're audible, we are in the ballpark of what can be expected on Facebook.
And you can remember for a good
Yes.
time.
Yes, I mean
212.
this is
226,
this is on
6365.
Facebook.
Write it on your back
Online thing.
wall.
It's not meant to be hi-fi or anything. We're just showing you guys the way we work, the way you can work, and if you want more info, you can write to us. You can come. Whatever. You can send us questions or
Yeah, the edited version is gonna be up.
So there will be an edited version online for you guys.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On behalf of AES and all the officers, thanks for everyone for coming. And we have an audience out in the other room watching on a external monitor. So thanks again everyone for coming, and we're about to do our raffles. Thanks to Eventide for the provision of the raffles, and thank you also to Gary and Harrison for providing a
Yes.
copy of Mix Bus Pro,
Look at you.
which will also be given away in the raffle in just a few moments.
Yeah.
So everybody have a great night, and thanks for joining us out there in Facebook land.
All right.
You're too young to remember Judy Durante.
That was awesome.
No.